he conjured up a couple of performances and results, and it allowed Patrick Stewart to not to have to do anything. But I tell you what, Daniel, I've just been writing there a call for more. This Rangers board, it can no longer afford just to adopt or curl into the fetal position and think it's okay. They don't have to do anything. The sound of fury on the final whistle there, that's all they need to listen to. That's all they need to know. If they are seen to do nothing at this point, the Rangers fans won't forgive them. And ultimately, Patrick Stewart knew the job, although he is. His credibility as a leader and a strategic thinker, that will need to be the subject of some considerable question as well. Doing nothing at this point is no longer an option for Rangers. And I think, well, let's see what the comments from the Rangers fans say. But they kind of spoke in one voice on the final whistle today, and I think they made their message pretty emphatic.
Aye. You mentioned, Keith, the fury at the final whistle. The fury in the comment section, as you kind of mentioned, is coming through loud and clear. And if you're watching at home, please get in touch in the comment section. Let us know what you think about Rangers' result today, about Philippe Clement. This one, which I think maybe is worth flagging up now, Keith, because it might get lost in all the Rangers stuff. But Scrimpleton here saying, could always speak about what a fantastic result it was for Queen's Park. I mean,
listen, it's a brilliant. Let's get it right. Fantastic performance. They hung in there. They wrote a lot. They were, robust, resilient. But I think they'll be walking away from there tonight wondering how that possibly happened. Especially Rangers lost all the momentum, and Clement took it away at half time. So yes, of course, Queen's Park deserve all the plaudits going, but let's get it right. This is a story, yes, fantastic, and Callum Davidson has done it again by knocking Rangers out of the Scottish Cup at Ibrox. Last time he did that, I think he went on to win it.
Aye, did I?
I don't see that happening. But while there has to be credit and praise where it's due in terms of the Queen's Park and the performance level, the big story here is that Rangers have once again shot themselves in the foot, and they now, what do they do? Having shot themselves in the foot, do they limp on with a lame duck manager, or do they sense the mood, realise the importance of making a change, and at least giving their supporters something to look forward to, some reason to think, do you know what? And they are becoming Jam Tomorrow FC. It'll be better somewhere down the line. And this is just another one of these examples. They're going to have to do something to give their fans reason to believe that they are the right men in the right positions, driving the club, capable of driving the club in the right direction. Because as much as Clement will come under fire, rightly so, you have to look at the command centre, because it's just one questionable decision after the next. Rangers fans have already kind of vented their anger at the board. And I guess that's a lot of the booing and the jeering that you heard in the final whistle. I guess a lot of that would have been aimed up the stairs too. Mm-hmm. But Stewart, having been shoehorned into this halfway through the season, he now has to come out and show signs that he is worthy of the position and capable of leading. And that's going to be fascinating.
Well, look, I mentioned we've got dozens of comments coming in. Let me, throw a few of them at you. John here saying what's not acceptable was Clement's baffling substitutions again, taking off Hadji even though he was having a poor game, and then putting on a defender when they needed the goal. What an insipid display. And just on that, he turned away from that in an interview and he said, no, but he did take off Hadji for Yilmaz. He hasn't left back.
Here's the thing, right? Hadji was actually one of Rangers' better performers in the first half. If anybody was causing problems, and I know that a lot of the final balls were off target for Rangers in that first half. But Hadji was a constant threat, just because he's a clever player. He drops into these pockets. He was dragging Queen's Park around. They didn't like playing against him. And do you know what happened? Clement panics at half-time. And by taking off Bailey Rice, what he's done there is said, oh, this is getting away from us here. And he said it himself. He didn't want the boy facing that pressure. Well, what pressure? Rangers were well on top of the game. Bailey Rice was strolling through it. What pressure? That pressure's coming from within. That's a manager who started to panic at the half-time interval. And he basically lost the rag with Hadji, because Hadji played one kind of zinged a pass, a diagonal or crossfield pass that went straight out of play. Clement turned his bench immediately at that moment, angry, and makes the call to get Yilmaz stripped. He's not thinking clearly. And see if your manager's not thinking clearly. And when you're in a high-pressure situation, that's when you know you've got the wrong man in charge. He wasn't able to think clearly and rationally at that point. And what he did was he took off the guy that was probably still the most likely one to hurt Queen's Park. He took him off and he placed him with a left winger at a time when Rangers had to score.
Yeah.
That, to me, shows a level of befuddlement. And it's another reason why in these key moments, in key matches that Rangers have to win, Clement keeps coming up short.
Mm-hmm. Let me power through just a few more he's got, because we're getting so many, Keith, and if you're watching at home, thank you, and keep firing them in if you want to get involved in the discussion. Boyd Craig, agreeing with you on the board, he says, I think we're on the right path behind the scenes. It's time for him to prove it and remove Clement tonight. This one here as well from Rangers Easy OK, who is a regular commenter. If I can find it. There's so many comments coming in, I can't even find them. Let me move on to this one first, actually. Sammy says, Clement can't survive that. Board will be terrified to make a change now and not this summer. Absolutely woeful display. And the saddest thing about it is I'm not even surprised. And he follows up with, we shouldn't need to sack Clement. He should be tendering his resignation right now. There's no coming back from that. And Callum says...
listen, do you know what? Very, very few managers actually will resign.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Even when they should. But you heard him. He was a man clearly digging in his heels in the interview, his immediate post-match interview. I'm under no pressure. Everybody knows what a difficult job I've got.
This is a rebuild.
And everybody can see the steps that we're making. He has got no intention of removing himself from the position, which means if Rangers accept and understand that they have to make a change, then it's on their heads. They're going to have to do it. And as I said, it's almost as if they've just been terrified to confront us. I don't know if that's because they chose to extend his contract at a time when I don't think many people would have seen the need to do that. They did it. It looks like another bad error of judgment. And now, you know, despite, I don't know, putting their fingers on the ears and jumping up and down and hoping that the whole thing would correct itself, they're now in this position.
Yeah.
And I just think from in terms of the supporters have run out of patience now. And they come very, very close to exhausting their patience a lot earlier in this season. They won't tolerate that, and nor should they.
Yeah.
That is catastrophic. Mm-hmm. It's risible stuff. And, you know, no manager really gets the opportunity to survive real horror story results like that one, and that's a horror story result. Yeah. There's been some bad results, bad performances along the way under Philippe Clement, but this one feels it's separate. This is in the category marked not survivable.
Yeah. Rangers Easy OK managed to find it now. They say the result's been coming. A manager is a complete bluffer. GVB was sacked after being 9 points behind with a European final and a Scottish Cup in the bank. Hope the fans at Ibrox a few weeks ago, booing fans, are happy. I think he's referring to obviously the walkout protest that was a lot of fans kind of rallied against on the day. This one as well, that was just coming to Callum. For any Rangers manager to survive a result like that, they need a mountain of credit in the bank. Credit Clement just doesn't have. He has to go and go tonight.
Callum, there's exactly, again, I'm almost paraphrasing what Clement said about the players. Oh, the players were getting some credit in the bank with the fans, but they're blowing it now. I mean, it's gone. Mm-hmm. Everything that he said, every criticism he made and directed at his own players, while throwing them all under a bus, every single one of them he could apply to himself, and none more so than that. Do you know what? Players survive. Players come good. Players will flourish under a different guy and different tactics, and but the manager is the constant here, and he's constantly underperforming. It's impossible to see any other conclusion.